Welcome back. Part 3 of Robert's life, and we're going to get into the more of the wonderful part of it, that there is success and what you have to go through to achieve that. And Robert, one of the things I wanted to touch base on, you're talking about some of the barriers that you had to go through.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the barriers. You can get out of jail. Where do you go? Where's the first place you go? Where's a safety net? Or where do you go to sleep at night? Where's your next stop? What is it?
Well, when I was younger, my mom always was there. So I always went back to my mom.
Okay,
and
good.
then run the streets. But my mom ended up having a couple strokes. So she ended up going to the nursing home.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear
things
that.
like that. So I was really on my own. I didn't have her there to support me, help, support me, because she always had the home, So that's when I had to keep some dope. I go from house to house. And that just was my life. So I wouldn't have to sleep on the streets.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever get to the point where you were homeless, though?
Yeah.
Did you get to experience that?
It was. I did some days where I had to walk to the airport station, where the bus station part at, and sleep sitting down. I did a couple days like that. It was a couple days where I slept in a friend's trailer, and he don't know about it. Didn't know about it. I had some rough days.
And that there was nothing out there for you that of a program at that time or whatever that said, hey, let's help you get through this transition of coming out of jail, that we can help you where you have a place to stay. I mean, did you know about the Center of Homeless at that time, or Hope Ministries?
You had that. I was an alcoholic.
Okay, so you're drinking heavy then.
Yeah,
so that was so the rules, right?
Yeah.
Stop that.
So, one time I ended up going to the Faith Mission in Elkhart and got a job and got a little car. But because of the barrier of being an alcoholic and thinking that's okay and hanging out with the same friends doing the same thing, I never kept a job for more than a year, to really get established. And that just was the cycle. It took me to get older and experience it and learn from it, and then experience something else and learn from it to make it.
So let's go to that. Where was the final trigger? Where did you figure out to click to be able to be, right now you own a car, you own a house. I mean, take me through that process. How did that happen?
Well, when I was locked up my last time, I was facing a whole bunch of time. So when I got the plea bargain for a lesser included offense, was a blessing. So I got sent to Dukem Center. And at first I was like, my daughter was grown. That's before I had my grandkids. My mom was in a nursing home or assisted living home. Like, I didn't have nothing to live for. So I was like, well, I might as well just live the street life and just see where, like, I'm just living for myself. I didn't have nowhere to go, no clothes at that time. But my soon-to-be wife contacted me, and we started back talking, and she was changing her life, which inspired me, because now I'm like, damn, I finally found somebody I could be real with, and deep down I was kind of looking for that. I didn't know it was God's plan at that time, but so we started back talking, and she went to church, and I was like, shoot, and I was going to church at Dukem Center. I'm like, yeah, when we get out, we're going to start going to church. And that was the beginning right there.
So she's been your rock. You guys been leaning on each other for all that.
Yep. We really work together. She holds me accountable. Of course, I'm the head, but she holds me accountable. It was just something I needed, because back then I could do what I want. With females, I could run but with her, she held me accountable to my word, the things I'm supposed to do as a man, as a Christian, and that was a big thing.
My beautiful wife, I tell her all the time that I'm the head of the household, but it's long as she lets me be, right?
Yeah.
So that's when you started turning around. You had a full-time job, and that's been going really well for you now, as far as that goes.
Well, at Dukem Center, because a lot of people talk bad about Dukem Center, But that was the help I needed. If the judge would have sent me to prison, I would have got out with nothing, and the first thing I would have did was grab some dope, you know. But because of the Dukem Center, they gave me a chance to save some money to get an apartment,
Mm.
and then that's what did it. Like, and then I got the apartment. Me and my wife going to church. We trying to do it together. She going to Oakland doing her classes and all them things, and we just built up together. And I went from one job to the next job. We was going to one church, and we didn't like it. Well, it was alright. We liked it, the music and stuff, but it was too big. We saw the chaplain Coyer from the jail.
Yes.
So we saw him at a place where we was working at. I was making pieces in, and he was like, come to my church." Okay, I know him for a long time. Didn't know him personally then, but I used to get the Bible and different reading materials from his cart. So we tried it out, and it felt like home. His teaching just felt so. I mean, it felt like family, and then that's my church family. They became family. That really helped, and that's when God really hit me. And then the chap taught me about the thoughts, the way you speak. It really gave me the meat. You know, things I haven't heard since I was a kid, and it just brought it back to remembrance. And me and my wife started applying. We started applying and we started applying it and really living by it. Mm. Instead of the belief, the strict belief, we live by God's belief. We set that as our foundation. You know, how to deal with emotions, how to think, how to speak. You know, not to say things negative, not to speak. And then that really, I think, skyrocketed us a lot.
Mm. Years ago, when going back some years now, but you were sharing to me as we became friends and I got to know you, you were sharing about your morning when you get up in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, share about that.
Yeah, every morning, me and my wife, we get up and we pray and we do a little Bible study. Every morning, that's how we start our day. It starts us on the right path.
And sometimes that's pretty early in the morning sometimes, right?
Yeah, I get up at 4 in the morning. We usually do our Bible study about 5:15 after I get ready for work and stuff, and then she wake up.
What a fantastic thing to do. If you go back in time, is there a point in time that if you had a chance you can go back in a time machine and say, at this point or a crossroads, I would have done something different? What would that be?
Yes, I would have stayed in school. Because I know my ambition, I would have did good in school if I believed that it would work. I didn't believe it. I didn't believe I could just go to school and go to college, and because that's distrust of the system again. I'm not gonna get no scholarship. It don't matter how smart I am. Just that whole distrust of the system. So, but that's what I would do. I probably would just go to school and start a big business. And because my ambition was just money back then, so that's what I'd have been just focused on.
What about like your future goal now is, you know, you're working hard, you got a great job, you're doing well with that, but if you wanted to give back to the community, if you want to do something different, what would it be right now? What is it something that you'd want to specialize in? If you had hey, I'm going to take some night classes, what would be the night classes? What would you specialize in?
My main goal is because I know how people in the streets suffering, and I know how hard it is and the pain they're going through. And the other side of the fence is attainable. And I just want to help, especially people like me who got good hearts that really not bad people, and show them. You know, I don't know if that'd be like a counselor or what, you know. But that's something I would love to do. Just people who was like me or think like me or thought like me, and show them the other way, and to show them how better it is, how it's easier, and it's funner. It's just
safer.
Yeah,
always.
Yeah. It's way different. It's like two different worlds. Like I didn't even know it was just two different worlds that people are living in.
And you want this would be an influencer for good, right?
Yeah.
But even if you look at, if we talk about drug dealers in South Bend or gang members in South Bend or homeless in South Bend, they're still part of our culture. They're still citizens. They're still all important. None of us are perfect. One of the things that I laugh about, they said, well, those people break the law. Well, there's people the corruption in government that break the law.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can't call one the other. I mean, it's just ridiculous. There's good people and bad people in every way of it. If more of us, the better people, that we can do to work together. And I think we're going to have to help society as we need more people to work together. Like you and I, coming together talking about this. We're talking about because we need to have these conversations, discussions, but we also need to strive for solutions. We need to offer solutions.
That's I agree with you. Good. Group I belong to, Man's Talk, is very diverse, and
some of the smartest people in the city are there, right?
Huh?
Some of the smartest people in the whole city are at Men's Talk, right?
Yeah. Well,
Levi will like that one, actually.
Yeah, but yeah. I think coupled with that gave me an outlet of friends. That changed with Man's Talk, church, my church family. That gave me access, like where I have fun. I got people to go to, people to talk to. Because at that time I had to cut all my friends off in order to change. Now I just see some of them that are real good friends, but they know where I stand now. So the old stuff, like the different conversations now.
And even like with your brother, he's come to Men's Talk too now, but look at that relationship with him. He's doing a rap song. He's trying to do some positive stuff.
Yeah.
He's really turned his life around too. So
yes.
It's a pattern, and you're still associating who you remember responsibility, who we surround ourselves with, right?
Yeah.
And it's really cool that you guys could, where he's not an influence of bad, he's an influence of good now, with your life, and you are with him. So I love seeing that. What about the younger generation? What would you today, a young man, I'm a young black man. I come up before you and I'm in the hood. And I'm saying, hey, man, I'm thinking about my choices of being a rapper or a basketball player, or I want to be going to be to drugs. What would you say to them? What would you share?
I would try to probably tell them some stories about some of the stuff I've been through, and tell them what happened, and why you shouldn't do that or whatever you're trying to do. And give him some alternatives, I would really try to listen first and see what his barriers are and try to read it a little bit before I answer, because everybody will be different. Mm-hmm. And I would just try to give him the best advice off of that. Like, he say, man, I'm finna go get this 8-ball and go get my grind on. We ain't got no money, So I'll try to figure out what be the barrier, like, all right, so what you need the money for? Oh, we can't pay this bill, or what? And then try to find solutions towards that.
Versus new shoes or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And one of the things you always said is the streets need to know the system's not against them, right? That's not always easy, right? Because you had people that influenced you in your life. It wasn't just, who was your biggest influence in your life, would you say? Was it your mom? Was it your aunt, grandma? Who was the biggest influencers?
My biggest influence was probably my older brother and my older sister.
For good, though? I mean, we're talking about for good.
Oh, for good?
Yeah, for good.
Oh, right. Oh, my mom and my grandma.
Your mom and your grandma?
Yeah, my grandma made sure we stayed in church. I stayed in church till I was about 13, 14 or something like that. My mom was a good woman. She wasn't super churchy, but she never had no man in the house, She worked, came home to her kids, and she showed a lot of love, and yeah.
But to that young man that you're talking to, whether he's black or white, he's in that situation where he's thinking about his choices, whether it's going to be drugs or whatever it might be. You had influencers like a pastor and stuff like that to try to tell you that there's a better way, but you weren't listening at that time.
No, I wasn't listening.
So how do you help the younger generation now, whether it's Latino or who? How do you help them to say, because they would have been like you back then,
right.
I'm not listening to that because I've already been influenced for bad, right?
Yeah.
Or negative thinking, like you like to share negative thinking.
Yeah.
How do you wake them up? How do you say, no, you got a lot of other choices. You have opportunities. You can go in the trades. The trades make really good money, by the way, to be a mason or electrician and all those, the unions. the apprentice programs, all this kind of stuff, and they're always looking for people. There's not enough Masons even in the area to do that, and they can make really good money.
Right.
But how do we get to that younger? Because right now we go to the high schools, but what about the people that just got out of jail? How do we switch their life up and said, hey, why don't we start thinking a different path or taking a different
I think
path?
because younger, if I was younger, if the person dressed it cool or dressed it like me, or talked like me and came and I could connect like that, I would have listened. But because of the pastor came dressed up, he wasn't sagging, right? Because that was the style back then. I guess it's still the style now, huh? But
I
it
didn't know
was
what sagging is. Is that the pants low and all
pants
that?
low,
Oh,
yeah.
it
I
drives me
think that's still
crazy.
the style. But it's like that. Like I would have listened, because I would have looked at them like, okay, he just like me.
Okay.
I wasn't an adult. Wasn't an adult then, so I didn't know how that stuff really don't matters. But back then, that would have mattered. Just the way the talk, the way you look, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then I think I would have listened. But because of the way the pastor came and talked, scripture and stuff, I didn't want to hear that. And so
Yeah, it's their Bible thumping and all that kind of stuff. They're pushing it.
yeah, like
Yeah,
whatever. I
religion
didn't
down
want to
like
hear
that.
it. But when there's somebody from the streets that was older, but it was the wrong type of advice. They thought it was good advice. Like there's certain things like you only supposed to rob somebody one time. Then after that, you're supposed to you sell dope and you should be straight. You don't rob stores. You only rob people in the gang. Who hustle. You don't rob gas stations and stuff like that. You rob people who are in the gang in the streets, and things like that I was taught. And that's what I listened to. But I think that's the missing link, and that's what I feel like I'm here for. Because I came from that. I want to meet the baddest kids in the South Bend.
Beautiful. No, I think
Yeah.
that's a great story. It's funny when you say that about robbing the other people on the street, the gangs. We try to help a lot of people, even through my company. We'll try to hire some people that just got out of jail and stuff like that, and we try to help them in every way they can. And it's funny how wherever they get set up, even their own place or whatever, how it's where they're robbed, but they're robbed by one of the ones that were originally their friend, or it might be a
Yeah.
cousin or whatever. And I'm thinking that's really messed up. But then you're saying, yeah, don't rob the gas stations or whatever. That's because they're
Yeah.
not going to call the police, right? I said,
Right.
did you call the police? And he's
Yeah.
like, no, that's the last thing we would do. And I was like, now that makes sense to me. I didn't never could put the connection together,
Yeah.
and that's really neat. Any last words? Any last things you want to share? You've had the floor. You've done great. I mean, we appreciate you telling your story and sharing it with us. We appreciate your vision for the future to try to work together, and we want to try to partner with you as much as we can to try to see that happen
Yeah.
and go forward. We want to help the homeless that have some homeless solutions. You've been great about being a party to that to help with some suggestions. Great. It's not one person, it's all of us, right?
Yeah.
To come together with ideas. And you have a wealth of knowledge with your experiences. So that's unfortunate. I'm sorry that you had to go through all that. But there is blessings and favor that can come from that now. So any last words that you want to share?
Yeah, I just think that South Bend would be a lot better if we just need to work together and break these walls down. And then that's something that really need to be done. If we really want to change the violence, the homelessness, it's too much division. It's too many different
Yeah, with it.
categories. Like we too separated. I think we need to open that up. Like even on the news and stuff, it don't sit right.
Yes.
It don't sit right. It make everything not trustworthy. People not to trust each other and open up.
It is. And again, we just have to get to that point where we find common ground, right?
Yeah.
If we can find common ground, then we can move forward. And we just got to regroup, some of our priorities. They're all different, and as you said, each individual is different. But if we have a common goal for the betterment of, let's say, the city of South Bend, which is our city,
Right.
and we take responsibility for that, maybe we can make change for the better. Maybe city of South Bend becomes a shining star or beacon that other cities can follow. That'll fall back to the mayor's, hands and responsibility. But what can we do to slowly help them? We'll try to figure that out. So everybody, Robert Emerson, this is a great story, sir. I appreciate you so much, my friend. I thank you for everything, and I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we enjoyed putting this together. Thank you.